Hey, Holy Cross, Pastor Rick here. We are doing something a little bit different because of COVID kind of limiting the amount of face-to-face we can have. We're doing our informational meeting via a video. So what you're going to be seeing over the next few minutes is talks from Jerry Seeger about finances. Kent's going to come up and talk about what's going on with youth and with Holy Cross kids moving forward. Mark's going to talk a little bit about small groups, and I'm going to come back and just talk about life as a church, as we've worked through COVID. You'll notice in the description that there are time markers in there on when everyone is starting to talk. So if you are interested in one thing and not another, you can easily skip forward. Some of you are probably hoping that we continue to do this method of informational meetings, but this is the way we're doing it this time. And so let's get to it.
Hi, Holy Cross. I look forward to giving you some information on our current financial status. I'm going to talk about our general fund, our COVID crisis fund, open doors, and I'm going to talk about something called the Paycheck Protection Program that we've been participating in. So I'll start with the general fund. I'm looking at results through July 2020. So our general fund giving through July 2020 for the year is about $192,000. That is about 6% below the budget that we set at the beginning of the year. That shortfall actually began all the way back in January, the first month of the year. And in the month of January, our giving was below budget by $15,000. It was less than half of what we budgeted for the month. So we started the year with a pretty significant shortfall. You may recall we reported to you in April where we were as of February or March. For expenses, through 3 months, through March 2020, we were over budget on expenses by about $6,000. That was due to a lot of things. There's a lot of over budget and under budget in all the lines of our expenses, but the primary things that caused us to be over by that $6,000 were printing costs, ministry costs, and utilities on our office here. As a result of those situations, the giving being less and the expenses being more, in April, the session implemented several things to help bring our expenses back in line with our budget and with our giving. So as of July, now through 7 months of the year, with the help of our staff, our expenses are back within $1,000 of our budget. So great efforts there on the part of all our folks to bring that back in line. But that still leaves us with a shortfall of about $12,000, again due to the giving, starting all the way back in January. So next I want to talk about the COVID crisis fund. In early April, the session started what we call the COVID crisis fund to help people in our community who have been affected or impacted by COVID-related shutdowns and layoffs. To start the fund, the session redesignated $76,000 that has been in the Open Doors Fund, and we wanted to use that for the COVID crisis. These monies had been in our general fund way back at the end of 2018 in a general fund savings account, even before Open Doors started. They were designated to Open Doors by the session in early 2019. In April, though, we felt strongly that the community need, because of COVID, justified the session's actions to redesignate those monies and use them for COVID assistance. Since April, we have received additional COVID donations from our congregation of $7,500. We've spent $16,000 to help individuals who were affected by COVID shutdowns and layoffs. $2,000 of that 16 was given to the Valley Mission to help them in all the work that they do to help people in our community. And another $14,000 was given to individuals who were affected by those COVID shutdowns and layoffs. So we've not received any further requests for funds or assistance since April. In June, the session discussed that COVID crisis fund and whether we should shut it down, move the money, or redesignate it. But we decided to wait and keep the fund in place through the fall just to see if there were any further needs for assistance. So the balance in that fund now is $67,500. That's the $76,000 we started with, plus $7,500 in donations, less the $16,000 that we used. So we'll discuss that COVID crisis fund again within the next few months and make a determination where we go from there. Third thing I wanted to talk about is Open Doors. Our donations to Open Doors in 2020 through July are a little over $60,000. This brings our total in the Open Doors Fund to $200,470 through the first 16 months, remembering we started in April of 2019 on the Open Doors Fund. So the 3-year commitments that we received back in early 2019 are a little over $535,000. Overall, we're a little bit behind in giving towards those commitments, but our congregation has been very faithful in helping us to save for a future location. So that balance now again is $200,470. That does not include the $76,000 that the session had redesignated back in early 2019. Overall, our congregation has been extremely generous and faithful in giving to our church and in assisting in the work that we feel we need to accomplish to spread the gospel, to serve our community, and to further God's kingdom here in Stanton and throughout the world. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is something called the Paycheck Protection Program. That's probably kind of government lingo. But in late March, our church leaders learned about this thing called the Paycheck Protection Program, or the PPP loan program. It's a part of the federal government financial assistance program for people and for businesses who have been affected by COVID, the various shutdowns and layoffs. The PPP loan program provides loans to businesses so that they can avoid laying off staff or reducing pay and benefits for their staff. In other words, to try to keep people employed during this time. If a business meets certain requirements, the loan then is completely forgiven. After discussion and approval by the session, back in April, we applied for a PPP loan on behalf of the church. We were approved for that, and we received a loan of $29,292 in late April. Those monies are currently in the church checking account. They are on our balance sheet as a liability, something that we owe, and we have not taken any of that money into our books as revenue. We're just holding it for now. The decision to apply for that loan was based on the fact, now think back to the general fund update. By the end of March, before COVID even had any effect on us, before we stopped meeting, our general fund reserves had dropped by over 30% in 3 months. Our giving was down because of January, where our expenses were running over budget, and we felt we needed to be very cautious as we moved forward. Now at this point, we have met all the requirements to have that loan forgiven. But there is some concern that accepting any sort of loan or even a forgiven loan from state or federal government might cause the appearance of relying on the government for support. And we want to avoid any sort of appearance that we rely on state or federal government for our support. So we continue to discuss that loan, that outstanding amount of about $28,000, to determine whether we will pay that back, even though we meet the forgiveness. So that concludes my report on financial information. And as we move forward, I'm available on Sundays or by email or voicemail or text if you have questions about that information. Thank you.
Hey there, Holy Cross family. It's Pastor Kent. And I just wanted to give you a quick update on our children's ministries and our student ministries. So let's start with the children's ministries. In all honesty, it's hard to know just when we're going to be able to have Holy Cross kids meeting back in person and so forth. So when our children's ministries do open up, however, we do have a phased approach to that. So as you know, we've opened up the toddler nursery for kids who are ages 1 through 3. After that, my priority is to open up Holy Cross Kids A. It's the most wiggly bunch in our family, and the ones that I think could benefit most from quality time with their teachers in classrooms. So when we have just enough of a sense that things are moving forward, then we will open up Holy Cross Kids A, and then after that we'll open up Holy Cross Kids B, and then after seeing how all that goes, we'll open up Infant Nursery. And last of all, we'll bring in Holy Cross Kids C. So the whole rationale behind that is to try to get our youngest kids, the ones who may struggle more in trying to sit down and listen to a sermon, trying to get them paired up with their teachers as soon as we can. But again, I don't know when that will be, and we're just monitoring situations and volunteer levels and so forth. And we'll keep you updated on what that looks like. As you know, since we haven't been able to do Holy Cross Kids, we've been putting out these Holy Cross Kids videos, which have also been a great resource, but also a little labor intensive. So we're doing a shift starting August 23rd, which is 2 Sundays from now. We're going to put out sermon aids for the kids. Ann Marin is heading this up. And so what she's doing is she's putting out 3 bulletins that, 3 sheets that are meant to help our kids in the age brackets of Holy Cross Kids A, Holy Cross Kids B, Holy Cross Kids C. And these sermon aids are just meant to help our kids in service figure out how to track along with the sermon. It's a skill. Like any of us who have been doing this, listening to sermons for a while, know that, hey, it takes a lot of brain power, a lot of energy to figure out, to really engage in dialogue with the sermon. And a lot of our kids, I think, are able to do this. They may need some coaching from you, and you'll get an email from me and Ann Marin in a little bit when we do roll out these sermon aids on just ideas and ways that you can help your kids benefit most from these resources. But again, I just want to reiterate, like these are all stopgap measures. These are very temporary things that we seek to do as we're trying to love our kids in this very unusual time. So these sermon aids will only last until we can get all of our kids back into the Holy Cross kids programs. So yeah, we're excited to hopefully do that one day soon. Reinstitute our Holy Cross Kids programs. But until then, we're just trying to think of creative ways to serve our little ones. And if you have thoughts too, I'd love to hear your ideas. Student ministry, we've done something really exciting with this past summer. We've introduced discipleship groups. And so what we've got currently going on is a pilot group for the high school students. We've been doing this study in the book of Colossians every Wednesday night for just our high schoolers. And it's been really sweet. I can't tell you. Like, it really is one of the highlights of, I think, honestly, my ministry here at Holy Cross. So I've just loved getting to spend time with these students. Because again, our goal for our student ministry is to prepare them for full-fledged, broader church work and church ministry. And so what we want ultimately for our students is that they know what it's like to be in a small group and how to disciple one another and how to grow together in Christ-likeness. So we'll keep you posted as plans develop for rolling out further discipleship groups for the younger ages. All right, that's everything from my end, and we love you a ton, and hope you've enjoyed this little update on our children and student ministries.
Hey everybody, Pastor Mark here. I just wanted to inform you all on some exciting things going on with our small groups. We're going to have 2 new groups starting this year. This is something that I had been praying for all year, that the Lord would raise up 2 new leaders for us, and He's answered that prayer. So there's going to be a second group starting out in North Augusta County, and that's going to be led by Ben Halterman and Jason McCall. And the group that has been out there is going to continue to be led by Abe Halterman and Dan Hancock. And then our second group starting is going to be one led by John Pinchek and Ash. So we're really excited about those 2 new groups getting started, and our other groups will be continuing and picking up in the fall, starting in September. And one of those groups is going to have a little bit of change. Is going to be the Rolling Greens group. The Crisp are going to be taking over that group and leading that to give the Seegers a bit of a time to rest, which is much needed. We really appreciate them and thank them for all the work and service that they have done in our church. Another exciting thing we got going on is working on putting together a Zoom small group for all those who don't feel comfortable coming back yet to have in-person small groups. So, if you feel led to possibly lead a Zoom small group, let me know, and I'll keep you all informed on that information and details as things come together. And just another thing I wanted to talk about was our missional lanes. As 2 of those lanes ended a year or so ago, I just want to let you all know that we're still passionate about serving our community and wanting to find places where we can minister in our community, that we can help bring restoration and the gospel to Stanton. So, if you have any ideas on places we can serve or ministries we can get involved in, let me know. If you have a desire, if we always need leaders for these things for them to happen, let me know if you have a desire and a passion to lead a ministry, and let me know, and we can see what we can get going. Thanks.
Hey, Holy Cross. So you've heard a bunch of stuff in this video. You've heard from Jerry Seeger on the financial status of the church and where we're at. You've heard from Kent on where we're at with both our youth and kids ministry and the phased plan, hopefully, to bring back Holy Cross Kids. You've heard from Mark on the great stuff that's going on with our new small group leaders and new small groups in the fall, which we are so excited about. Many of you will know that here at this church, we are big on the multiplication of disciples, the multiplication of our groups, and eventually the multiplication of our congregations throughout the valley. And so new groups is a next step to new congregations, and that gets me so excited. So right now, what I want to talk to you about is a little bit about what has been going on, right? We've been, man, 2020 has been a nightmare, if we're being honest with ourselves, right? We've gone through, we're going through, even still, the COVID epidemic and what's been going on with that. We've had conflicts, both in the church and out of the church, on how to deal with that. We're going through as a culture dealing with issues like police brutality and systemic racism, and trying to find a way to have a conversation about that, which is far more difficult than many of us ever imagined. But Holy Cross is actually flourishing. It's amazing. I would have never expected this. We've actually had new people coming to the church since we reopened, which has been great. Folks who are coming and experiencing the gospel and experiencing the life that God has built here in this church. And it's been fantastic to see. We're seeing more and more people engaged in different things. These group leaders rising up is a big part of that. Our giving being well better than it was at the beginning of the year is another part of that. It's just amazing to see what God is doing here in this church, seeing the ministry of Holy Cross continue to expand. We're excited about what that's going to be in the future. I know that right now things are not ideal. I know that. Many of us are really struggling with how to do life. Some of us are struggling with how to do life in the midst of fear or the likely expectation of becoming ill. Others of us are trying to figure out how to do life in the midst of an economic downturn. We're struggling. Many of us are dealing with emotional issues, being inside, having life so disrupted from us in ways that we're not used to. Life has been hard, but God has been good to us. If you are one of those who's struggling emotionally to try and figure out how to do life in the midst of all of this, there can be help. Please reach out to me, reach out to one of our pastors, one of our elders. If we can't help you, we will refer you to someone who can, and we can help you get the help that you need. This is a time of tremendous change, but it's also a time of tremendous opportunity. opportunity to meet people exactly where they are and yet bring the gospel into that. Meet them where they are with their fear of the future, their lack of control, and then let them know that there is a God who actually is in control, who holds the future, and through Jesus has proved that he loves us. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope that you are getting the information that you need. If there are things you are not sure about, please contact the office. You can talk to any of us on a Sunday morning or get in contact with us through email. We would love to hear what else we can do to help you feel like you are as informed as you need to be on what's going on in the church. God is doing good things at Holy Cross. We're thankful that you are a part.